Welcome back, everyone, to the Atlantic front. We have a lot to get to, so we're not going to waste a lot of time, but we are going to take a really long look at the United States and what is legitimately going on in today's world. We have spent an exorbitant amount of time trying to disseminate exactly what information the models have been trying to get us with really no uniformity, I'd say. So we're going to spend a lot of time and see exactly why the models ended up doing what they did, why they're giving us that information. And then we're going to go ahead and take a long, hard look and see exactly what I believe, since we're coming up into that place now where we're seeing I guess we're into that 72-hour range that is the main area of model guidance that starts to agree. And that's we can get into some of those forecast zones. So we have the United States, and we are going to go ahead and take a look and see, number one, what is going on. We're calling this the polar plunge. It's also called the polar vortex. So as you can see, I'm located out here. And if you think about exactly where everything is going, when you look and see, and we're just going to go ahead and draw a little line here. When you look and see exactly what is the delineating line, you do not have to look very far from right here. All right. And then we're going to not knock that thing out there. So it's like this, and then like that, this. All right. So that is the line of the polar vortex. What does that all mean? Well, we're going to go into a lot of detail on what that really means, but I just want to show you a couple of things. The amount of cold air that's shooting through here, and we're going to try to make this where you guys can see it. There we go. So we're going to say yellow is going to be that vortex air of just amazing, historic amounts of cold air that's coming in out of Canada. So when you see that, then you get to a place where what kind of moisture can really start to combat that level of cold air. It's not as simple as the precipitation rolls over the cold air, or the cold air rolls over the precipitation. It all becomes, and that's the difference between a heavy snow and freezing rain and ice, and that's why it gets to be such a I guess almost a target to try to figure out exactly what is going to occur, what is going to happen. So I have 53 degrees over here, my friends, and it is just south of me in all of this mess. It's 33 in Dallas. It is 33 in Tupelo. It is 33 in Rome. And look at this, 22 degrees. So the primary thing that's coming through right now is this westerly type of, that's where the winds are coming out of the northwest. So you're seeing this almost this sweeping nature of why all this cold air is coming through here. So when you have that much cold air, when you have that much, stuff that's going to be representative as far as what we're trying to glean from all of these models, you then see that it's really a target that you're trying almost to try to kind of grab here. So there is a front that is going to be coming through here. This is where the low is going to be. All right. And it is forming in this zone here like this. All right. So we're going to talk a lot about what has happened, why this has occurred, and we're going to go into depth right now and take a look at the models. Before we get into the model guidance, I did want to show you that low that's forming off of here like this, okay? And why am I going to do that? Because the models that we're going to show have this much of a discrepancy. Literally, it wants to do this. So it wants to do this like that, which is where the most of the model guidance is saying now as far as an agreement. There are some disagreements, and that would be just going like this and just enough, almost like a hurricane. You're seeing this. So, and you're going, well, why would that make such a drastic difference on all of, on the snow potential and all that? So, and then here is probably where we're at before. And if you saw my last video, just the difference between where this goes over Jacksonville, or this goes over Macon, you're talking about a tremendous amount, because the cold air is already there. So when we're looking at all these models coming up, you're going to see this model here is going to be, the furthest, south, which is where model guidance believes. This is the one that could tick into the, just enough to give the Charlotte area and everything else, a little bit more. And then, of course, this one right here is the one where a lot of guidance is starting to go away from. The euro is trying to hold on, but we'll talk a little bit about that. So without further ado, let's get to the models. We have the GFS. Starting with the GFS because there's a lot of animosity towards the GFS, and it's not for lack of trying, but we're going to go ahead and see the dates. So I want you to look up here at the runtime. All right, so there's up here in runtime, you can kind of see where my cursor is. So all the way in the runtime, the 00, so the 18th, so that's yesterday. So we're going to catch up over here, and we're going to see if we can see what we can see here. All right, so this is let's see here. We're going to go into, let's start with let's start here. So the GFS has been very, very uniform on a couple of different things. It has believed that there is a large amount of separation or suppression that's settling in between these two systems. This major system is the main culprit, all right, or the main, but this one comes in and it really is split by the amount of cold air that comes in, cold, dry air. So yes, you will see a wintry precip on this run. So this was yesterday, and so this is the first run yesterday. Okay, now I want you to watch the GFS and what it does as I move up into the 06Z. All right, so more suppression happened. All right, then we go into the 12Z, and then even more suppression happens. Okay, so that's all the way through Wednesday, and then it kind of comes into that whole thing. So let's take a look and see what that did. And there's the Z right there. So this was the 18th. So this was early 18th. And the GFS was saying we were getting more of an ice storm there. And then this same run right around that Tuesday, Wednesday zone, it started to, say that wintry precip was going to be a little bit larger. And then it goes into the 12Z, where it starts that suppression zone right into there. And then we have the next one. We're just going through the model guidance here, all right? And so the GFS loses that wintry precip and moves the entire weather maker, or the moisture side of it, completely down, and moves it down into the south. And it even suppresses a lot of the amount of snow that comes in because of that dry air. So that's the 18th. So now let's go for the first run today. All right. So that's the first run. So this thing has been ticking down the entire time. All right. So then the 6, and then it's even further down. So now what it's running, and we'll just go ahead, since we're getting close to where it was. This is actually telling it, or this is saying that is not even going to come in to the Carolinas whatsoever. That is really amazing from a standpoint of where in a day this thing was legitimately going to drop at least anywhere from freezing rain to ice and all of that. So this is, let's go ahead and get that right there. And so when we catch up with the most recent run of the GFS, you can see now that it has ticked slightly northwest, just slightly. So look at that. Just look at what that does there between the 06Z right there. Just like that. So that was the run last night, and this is the run right into, so you watch that blue right there, just snakes up just a little bit. So a lot of the same amount of moisture, or the same location for where the moisture is, but just a slight move back. So what does that really mean? That means that there is still potential for a trend to just tick just enough into that northwest, portion to give us that opportunity. So that's what that is. So that's the GFS. Now let's take a look at our friend the euro here, okay? So we are now going to go back into Friday. So let's take a right in this zone here, okay? So Friday, the euro pretty much said there was almost a suppression event as well. So this was the first run on Friday. This is the second run. So you're seeing a lot more snow kind of coming up into the Carolinas, looking like the Charlotte area might be that delineation line or that axis of snow. And then the 12Z, and then all of a sudden the euro comes back. So the euro comes back, and this is just yesterday, folks. This is just yesterday. Look at the amount of snow that it said it was coming in there. So they're saying that now, and again, this area of, I showed you what the area of low pressure looked like. It has not formed yet. So that still means we have that opportunity. So this is the 12Z on yesterday. And here's the 18Z, a little bit more suppression in that area, but still kind of that, you could see that dry air. We're going to take a look and see exactly what that is right there. And got a great graphic for you that's going to put a lot of things into perspective and clarity there. So, and this is today's run of the euro. So still has that potential, that line. So the euro has stayed relatively between, I'd say, Asheville and Charlotte as far as that line, maybe the Appalachians, but the Asheville kind of sits a little bit further off of, not too high like in the Boone area or in the Watauga County and stuff like this. So in that most northeasternly Tennessee area where it's very, very mountainous. But so you're seeing that, and then it kind of just fizzles out there. But so that's and so today's final run, or at least the run that it was sitting right here, you now see that it is still back in, that's ticked just northwest slightly. All right, but it's a smaller or a faster event is what the euro is saying. So it comes in, around that Tuesday night, Wednesday area. It snows most of Wednesday night, in that, so you can see that lighter blue into the darker blues. So this one has Columbia getting some, and pretty much just skirting Atlanta into obviously Savannah, and even into the looks like almost all the way down into Jacksonville. So does that actually? Yep, it does get in. So it just skirts that into that wintry precip, and then turns into a nice event. So we're praying for those guys, because we don't want to see that. But because Florida's worse than Charlotte and Atlanta about this stuff. So that is those are the runs. So I wanted you to see the difference between the runs and how they were going through, and looking at what the model guidance was saying primarily. Again, no forecasts here, because you just can't. And that large plume of moisture has not formed off into the Gulf yet. So we're still waiting for it. Notice this little high here. So we're going to jump into that so I can show you what that looks like. We are now looking at the weather charts through wxcharts.com. Excellent, because of the way that they put everything together, that really shows, I think, what we're trying to I guess, add clarity to why everything is happening the way it is. First off, I want to look at, from the GFS perspective. The GFS, I think, is, as I've really analyzed, the GFS not only suppresses the amount of snow coming in, but it elevates the amount of high pressure that comes down through the polar vortex. And you can see how that all works through all of this. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So all of this air like this, all of that is the high pressure that is pushing down in that cold, brutal, cold air. All right. So I did this in pink because, if I do it in blue, you won't see it, or in green. So that is what is going on. The GFS then takes this high right here. All right. That high and this one right there. And it not only does it continue to stay where it is, but it really comes all the way down. It really comes you can see this line. Let's see if I can make this a little bit easier on your eyes here. So this is this line like this. All right. That is where that high pressure line is. Well, we've got our friend the low out there. All right. This low, this guy out here is now trying to, fight this whole area. And the GFS really said that this was a downgrade almost, that the low was a downgrade, and then the high pressure with the polar vortex was an upgrade. So stronger high pressure system against a weaker low pressure that's trying to go into this whole, almost trying to converge. And that's what convergence is when two air masses are trying to, to combine. And we're going to see through the next couple of frames here what is actually happening here. So we have so this is right around today, or this is kind of in Monday. All right. So Monday says that this is going to start to form, and you can see where that low begins to form almost immediately. But look, you have two things. Now you have the high pressure over here that's starting to, affect this pressure. Affect the low. So then you have a high pressure here. You have the high pressure up here, and you have another high pressure coming out of here that's suppressing, again, with that amount of cold air that's really just absolutely juicing this whole thing like that. So then you have the high that kind of looks like this. All right. And then you have, that's that high. And this high, which we're not going to discount this guy at all. That guy is sitting like this. So really, you only see a certain area for the system to even have any opportunity to come in and do anything. So we are now looking at the Tuesday zone. So this is the GFS. So watch those highs. All of a sudden, there's that other third high right there. You see that thing pop up like that? Boom, right there. So 1039, it jumps down there. So it comes down into that zone. And then it literally skirts behind into, so this guy right here, all right, this guy jumps down into this. Watch that. So you'll see that kind of, watch, there he is. It jumps straight down into that high zone, and it rides the lightning all the way down through there. So then you have that low pressure that kind of tried to do something, kind of sitting off there, but all of a sudden there it goes. Well, remember, we're not forgetting our other friend here. Okay. So we have the GFS sits over like that. Now we have a high pressure over here that's sitting way over here. It's combating all this. So you have this brutal high pressure, cold air here, and you have this high here. And now you have the low is trying to push its way through. So the cold air is there, but then that convergence, you can even see the convergence line. There's that convergence line right there. There's that convergence. And when you see those convergence lines, that is where the precipitation tends to either come in or not. So that's where we're at. So then it comes in, and then a high pressure just almost squelches everything. So everything gets just destroyed by that high pressure that we said we weren't going to forget. Not only did that high pressure send a tremendous amount of clear, dry air, it just fizzled everything out. So everything stayed as south as possible. That's the GFS. All right. The next guy, let's go into our euro. So the euro, this is Tuesday. So the form, I want to show you this. So it forms right in there, and it already has a lot more energy. Look at that. So that forming zone, that low formed with a lot more energy, and the high pressures stayed up here. All right. That little guy down here stayed down there, but even further south. So this really, really cold. So the euro likes the amount of the high pressure staying north or northern, more northern, and then all of a sudden they start to converge and they come back down. But that's not before our system comes through and still does become a snowmaker for the Carolinas, South Carolina into North Carolina, and then skirt the coast. All right, right here. This is a meteorological gem right here. I want to show you this. All right, what color are we going to use here? Let's see. Let's use this one. So this is convergence, folks. It is literally, you can see it right here. That is where it is. That line of area right here, that stuff is so close to everything. It's not a good color. Let's do this. So that is so close. All of it is so close to just snowing like crazy. So all of that area is compressed down into, like, I'd say 200 miles. So 200 miles of convergence. That's now, so that high pressure is so strong, and then it's pushing from over here, and the low is moving down. It's moving south because it got moved over into that. So this guy right in here, that's our low pressure, is now being pushed by this high pressure. And then this thing is doing much more. It was here, all right, and it was doing like this. That's how it did. So it was just all of this energy just didn't have enough to push. So if this thing ticked just a little bit north, you're talking about a massive snowstorm in there. So, but that's what the euro was doing. That is where we are. Wanted to show you what that convergence really looked like because it was fascinating stuff. And then it moves into, so the euro still does play around with that, with that front there. It does not do anything else from a Friday, a little bit in that area there, but that's not what we're really looking for. This was the guy. So the euro is the last one, the last straw, the last one that we're seeing. All the rest, GFS says fizzle, but this said that there wasn't any suppression that was going to destroy the middle of this storm. It right there, that's about the only place where it gets really, really separated, but then it comes right back in the mix and starts to join in and start to throw everything up there into the Carolinas and Georgia and in the panhandle of Florida. And so it's going to be absolutely mind-numbingly cold, and it is going to there is going to be wintry precip, but is it going to stay on the coastal lines, or is it going to move into the Carolinas? I'm going to reiterate it one more time. This low has not started yet. It has not begun to be created yet. This thing is not here. It's going to come in sometime tomorrow. Then we'll get our last ability to see which direction this thing's going to go. Is it going to go this way? Is it going to go this way? Or is it going to go this way? Like this, like that. So just these movements forward or north are going to dictate so much more. So wanted to give you guys a little bit more of some clarity on why the guidance is so crazy and what it's actually trying to fight, what this system is trying to fight. So I certainly hope you guys have enjoyed it. We're going to definitely do one more video to see if we can get this thing. I'm going to give you guys my forecast either later tonight or tomorrow morning. So enjoy it, guys. And I'm hoping that if you're in the Southeast, you get some flakes.